Imitators! Joe Robaina here for American Cane Self-Defense, and I am here with ACSD California Master Coach Doc Stull. And consider this a special consumer report. Beware, alert, we don't want you to get duped. And what I'm referring to is I hate to call it a growing trend because this is really just isolated cases, but it's something that if you don't nip in the bud early, then it can, starts off like a little baby lizard, and before you know it, it turns out out of control, and Godzilla's burning down everything and creating chaos, and we really don't want that. And so we want to educate those of you who are out there. Maybe you're outside of ACSD, you're evaluating your options as to how you're going to go about your training, maybe even within ACSD, and you have questions because you're not really, you're just doing the training and you don't know what's going on. And so we're going to bring clarity to that. Hey, as always, if you like the content, hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon so that you don't miss any future content. Avail yourself of the 2 free resources. Have you done that cane clarity call? Text the letter CCC to 305-745-7839, and we'll give you an action plan, answer all your questions, and that is at no cost to you. And the other one is the private Facebook group that is open to the general public. It's called Cane Flow. Read the description, request entry, they will let you right in. And that private Facebook group is part of what has caused us. We knew what we were getting into when we opened the barn doors, right? ACSD always private groups just to support those that are following our curriculums. But we wanted to educate the public, in that group in particular, about the fastest growing segment, yet the most misunderstood. And not surprisingly, this is where we're having this come from. And we're talking about individuals who might be passing themselves off as ACSD instructors, sharing our curriculum, encouraging others. Maybe they've started off their own little, they're using the platform to sound off their own network. They think they're somebody with that cane. They swear they are, and you don't know any better. You don't know what to look for. That's what this is about. This will point out to you what to look for. But I want to say this, for those of you that are in a rush, the fastest, easiest way is to always contact the headquarters. Give us a call. We have an internet, we're a full-time operation. We're not a part-time, nobody here has a 9 to 5 and then they also do this. No, this is what we do. We've been doing this for 30 years, and it's, give us a call at the 800 number, and you can always say, hey, so-and-so, what are their credentials? What's their standing with ACSD? And are they really prepared? Are they trained to pass this training on to others? ACSD, so that you know, has 2 main tracks. You can go through it as a practitioner track. You can go through it as a practitioner and coach, and coaching requires a separate training. It's a licensure training, and it requires time in that training to really know. In other words, even those, Coach Doc and others, there's not a bevy of trainers all over. We don't want that right now, and I'll get into that. When you're going to pass on a program, you're going to be in constant communication with the headquarters, because there's a lot of things that are going to come up that unless you're in communication, in this case with me in particular, you're not going to make it. So that's just to give you an idea. But I'm going to break this down into 3 main types. These are 3 situations that we see. And again, fortunately, very isolated cases, but still, we don't want you to get quote unquote duped by them. The first one is the individual who's using Cane Flow, for instance, or the private Facebook group, or anything that we do, as a platform to entice others. Maybe they've started their own movement. They're looking for attention. They're looking for an identity within the group, and they're encouraging others to come over. Please know that ACSD does not sanction that. It doesn't sit well with us. That is nothing that we support, namely because the individual who's doing that, whatever they're claiming to show you, number one, that's not ACSD. They may have received training from us. They may have come to a headquarters. There may be pictures with Joe Robaina and other caners doing that. They may show you a certificate that says either leader, advanced. Never happens at the master's level. There's a reason for that, right? At the master's level, the level of maturity and the understanding, you never do something like that. But folks, they need to, it's coaching credentials, and there is a difference between the practitioner and the coach. The way ACSD curriculums are set up are that unless you have the secret sauce that is passed on with that coaching training / licensure that requires time. Right, so if somebody just becomes a coach and they've been in there for a month, or that's not enough. They may have that there, but they're not doing anything just yet. Right? There's a process that we go to. And Doc, if you would, you went through it as a practitioner. You're perfect as that practitioner. You have to start off as a practitioner, and you can't just become a coach just because you want to be a coach. And therein lies part of the problem. When they realize what it entails, what it takes, the training, they're not willing to do that. And the common characteristic is cutting corners. Say something about that, about, what's your take on that, practitioner versus coach, and the training you have to go through?
Well, first thing I say, Joe, is that I think teaching is probably the most sacred and honorable thing you can do. It's an honor and a privilege to teach and coach. So I would say that. And if it's an honor and a privilege, it does require a lot of humility because it requires a lot of learning. And the biggest thing that I have learned has been, yes, when you want to teach and coach, obviously you have to be skilled. And you never master the skills. You're working on the skills your whole life. But the second thing is that you have to be able to apply those skills. And that's another step. You may be able to demonstrate it, but the second step in that transitional period is, can you apply those skills? And not just one application, but can you take things and apply it in many different creative ways?
Put an asterisk by apply, because I'm going to get to it just real quick, yes or no, because I don't want to make this overly long. We can talk about this for a long time. You came down here your second time for ACB, American Cane Boxing certification. You, Coach Ron out of Ohio, for instance, had to put in on that Tuesday 3 hours with me in personal training on how to pass on this training. If you don't have that key and that secret sauce, it's just a yes or no. Can you successfully pass it on to others and run a successful program without that secret sauce?
I don't believe so, because
the answer is no.
Training is communication.
That's what I'm saying. Just a quick yes or no. The answer is no. Communication is huge with it. But let's go back to apply. I'm going to give you an example. And that Cane Flow group, the reason we opened that up was to educate the public, because again, it is the fastest growing segment, also the most misunderstood. You can have an individual out there who, boy, you see them out there, and to you they look real pretty. They're moving around. They are essentially at that level. I'm telling you, as a guy who put together imitators of movement, understand, I don't say this in a derogatory way, I say as a matter of fact, but you can get a trained monkey to do that. They can run off sound bites. I can get a parrot to go ahead and do that. That does not make you a coach. And you know how you know it? If you test them, you ask them a question, you say, show me, apply, and you start pushing the issue, you're going to see that they're going to have to back off. They're going to have to go and either reference something that we did and say, hey, I'll get back to you on that. And they're not going to get back to you anytime soon because they're not trained in the application. In other words, and you hear me say this all the time, the individual that knows the how is always going to be the student to the individual that knows the why, and there's a huge discrepancy there. So beware of, just know for a fact that ACSD is not going to be hounding you, pestering you. Come join my group. No, if you're a part of anything, including you like this chat, you had to be proactive in doing it. We're going to suggest it. We're going to let you know it's there, but we're not going to hound you on it. We don't have a separate agenda. That usually comes with some kind of quote unquote story. Look at me, I had this injury and I'm the victim, I'm the underdog, I'm the this, and come on over and do that. I mean, everybody in here should be smart enough to govern themselves accordingly when it comes to that. The second situation that we've been alerted to is the individual who, for instance, enrolls at the first level, the leader training, the foundational training, and they're already teaching a martial art or something, and they start teaching the cane. Well, they might be teaching something else, but not ACSD. They may have a lot of years as a martial arts instructor. That does not, years of teaching martial arts does not give you the secret sauce. As a matter of fact, and I'll jump into number 3, is when you see an individual in a martial arts uniform with a belt doing cane stuff, that is not ACSD. As a matter of fact, you sign an agreement that says that you're not doing that. If you teach a martial art and you teach ACSD, guess what? When you teach your martial art, you wear whatever it is and every ritual that goes. So if there's bowing there and everything that goes with the art that you're teaching, right on. But when it comes to ACSD, you cannot have any of that there, because that is not the experience. ACSD is not classified as a martial art. It is a tactical self-protection system and a movement-based system that is not tied into any of that. And so those are some of the things that when you see that, they may be saying, they may have gone through training. They can show you, look, I'm advanced. Advanced is a rank, not a coaching certification. Leader is a rank. It is not, they're practitioner ranks. There's a separate certification and training under coaching. And again, without that, it's going to be impossible to successfully pass this on, because when push comes to shove, there's going to be, we see it in movement, we see it in, to you guys, you don't have the trained eye, you look at it and you say, wow, they're quick, maybe they're, they look good. Speed, by the way, cannot mask errors in it's just a faster way of doing things wrong. To you, you don't see it, but I see Swiss cheese. That's my term for it. There's holes everywhere there. And again, Doc Stull, you're an experienced guy. You teach a program in Humboldt. You've gotten into private institutions with us. There is a method. I remember you and I, this is a characteristic with the coaches. Again, if you're passing this on, at some point you're going to get with me. I know you did it one time. We had to go back and revise it. And that is the value of being connected as a coach, is that we're in your corner supporting you. We don't support any of that stuff. We have nothing to do with that, and we want nothing to do with that.
Yeah, I would go back to past the applied. Is basically the more you do that, the better you communicate. And working directly with you, the things that we, Ron Doyle in particular, this particular immersion, is basically how to communicate better. And the more experience you have, the more you communicate better. And finally, I would say the last thing just about communication is that as long as I've been in ACSD, everybody I've ever associated with has been affirmative and positive and encouraging to everyone else. So obviously you have to be able to communicate the skill, you have to be able to demonstrate the skill. We're all getting better at that. We're all very humble. It teaches you how to be humble. But everybody has been very, very affirmative, and it literally does make you a better person.
How picky are we about how you communicate and how you treat others in there? There's a very specific formula for that.
Very, very picky.
And the picky guy is me. So you're never going to get rude in there. You're never going to get something that's derogatory, that's putting down. That's not the way that ACSD coaches are trained to express themselves, and particularly in other forums and things like that. So know that. And I'll give you one quick example. I can ask Coach Doc here. This is the importance of who's on the other side. Who are the set of professional eyes on you, giving you the feedback, the support, the accountability, the correctives, the things you're going to need to make your training real. But I can ask them, hey, how many criteria are there in evaluating?
5.
Yeah, there's 5 main criteria. Go ask this individual who's enticing, who's telling you, yeah, come on over, train with me, look at me, look at me, look at me. See if they can run those 5 off for you. And I guarantee you they can't. Because again, it requires training, and even running it off, you have to know what it entails, how to score that, how to do that. There's a whole nother training behind this. And it's in your best interest to just call the headquarters and say, hey, so-and-so, this individual, what's your status? They're doing this. A lot of times they're going to hide behind a generic name. They're teaching our material. We know that you're teaching our material, and they'll call it, I don't know, making something up, that's out there, cane fu. It's a very generic thing. Well, the minute you see them, hey, we know that those skills are not part of that. That's ACSD. You see them doing that. We know that that's going on. Inevitably, in all 3 of the cases that I just described, it's going to end in terminating the relationship with ACSD, and we wish those individuals well, but it's a very happy place here on this side. I always say, I don't want to blow it up for you, but it's the greatest caner community in the world, and it's not because we're so great, but we're privileged and blessed to attract some of the kindest, neatest human beings on the planet when it comes to reaching out a cane, helping others out, and we always invite you to go ahead and see. I know for a fact you will be able to tell the difference. Anything else, Coach, before we wrap it up?
Just I think in any teaching track, the more you know, the more you realize there are things that you don't know. And it sounds cliche, but it's true, and it's true for
everyone
ACSD
operating,
too.
whether it be martial arts, whether it be movement, whether it be self-defense, will go ahead. Any subject, you once you move up, you keep realizing, you say, man, and you hear it a lot every time at the master's level when they come down. It's funny that a lot of these guys that are trying to pull, they're trying to pull individuals, even individuals at the master's level, here who are further along than they are, and boy, that is like trying to loop a whale with a yo-yo. It's out in the ocean, and you're trying to bring him into your kiddie pool. But anyway, just giving you the heads up here. You have been warned. If you have any questions, guys, you can always reach out to the headquarters, 800-289-8188. But we want everybody out there to have the information so that you can make the best and the most informed decision as to who it is you're going to trust with your training, because that is the real equalizer. That's everything. I'm Joe Robaina with Coach Doc Stull. Thank you so much. ACSD California. Keep caning. Make the right decisions. Stay safe.